Week 8, Miami Dolphins head into Detroit to take on those Detroit Lions. Got a lot to talk about in this one. What is up, Finn fans? Can the Miami Dolphins make it 2 in a row, get to 5-3, and continue on that success uphill battle for the rest of the season to make the playoffs? Well, this is where it starts. The Detroit Lions. So like usual, we're going to break down the injury report. I got breakdowns. I'm actually going to do something new with PFF. You'll see that. They have this really cool thing that I'm going to try. Maybe break it down a little bit more. Then we go into the 5 things that the Dolphins need to do to beat the Lions. And I'll give you my prediction. Before we jump into all that good stuff, I do have to shout out today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. If you don't know about Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app. You can get it on an Android. You can get it on your iPhone. It's very, very cool app. I'm going to show you about it instead of just reading off things about it. So we'll go to my phone. You can see I'm on NBA right now. If you go to NHL, they have soccer, NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA. They go all the way over. If I keep scrolling, you can see all the different sports they have, boxing, all that good stuff. But obviously, we are going to come over and click on the NFL because obviously I talk about the NFL here. Now, this app and this daily fantasy app, the Prize Picks, covers 70% of the United States, right? You pick 2 to 5 players. So we'll go with Lamar. We'll go with Tom Brady. You could see on the top here, you got rushing yards, receiving yards, field goals made, kicking points, rushing and receiving yards, passing and rushing yards, interceptions, punts, all that good stuff. You could pick whatever, but we'll go with the 2 quarterbacks. We'll go with the wide receivers and Mike Evans. And this is all for the Thursday night game. And we'll go Justin Jefferson just because, why not? And then we'll throw a boy Tyreek in there. And when you go, you can see here, you choose essentially more or less that they're going to hit that quota. So for Lamar, 205.5 passing yards, do you think he's going to get more or do you think he's going to get less? And you see Tyreek, they have him at about 81 passing yards. Do you think more or less? And then you essentially put your bet in. You can put your wager in. You could do $20. You could do whatever. You can win up to 10 times your money. You don't have to hit on all 5 of these to win some money. But if you hit on all of them, you can win up to 10 times your money. And if you use the promo code DDW, Prize Picks will match 100% on your first deposit up to $100. So go check out the app. Go download it. It's really cool, really fun. Prize Picks, and again, use the promo code DDW and get 100% of your first deposit up to $100 matched. Alrighty then. So let's jump into the injury report. I will pop up Detroit's first because this is pretty big. It's covering my face. Their safety, Deshaun Elliott, didn't participate for 2 straight days. Again, I record this on Thursday. You guys are seeing this on Friday. Charles Harris, yes, that Charles Harris didn't participate 2 days in a row. Their cornerback, Mike Hughes, didn't participate. Chase Lucas didn't participate. Their safety, Foodie, not even going to try it, didn't participate. And their tackle, Matt Nelson, didn't participate. Their tackle, Tyler Deckert, limited 2 days. Then their TJ Hawkinson didn't participate, and then he was limited. Jonah Jackson didn't participate, then he was limited. Center Frank Ragnow, limited both days. And then wide receiver Josh Reynolds. I don't know why my brain's not working today. Didn't participate, then limited. Amon St. Brown, concussion protocol, limited for the past 2 days. I'm hearing he's going to play. And then DeAndre Swift and Will Harris are both full participants. So DeAndre Swift most likely will be back for this game. Hello, how are you? I'm back. Well, going to be gone. See you later. Then I got the Miami Dolphins injury report. We got Thomas Morstead. Didn't participate from an illness. He'll probably play on Sunday. Probably got like some type of bug. But what I do like is to see all of the limiteds, right? Because you see a lot of do not participates, but then once you see limited, it makes me feel better. Because then again, today more news will come out, understanding who might potentially practice or not practice, and then we get a better idea. But seeing limited versus did not participate makes me feel better. Essentially, everyone was limited, from Teron Armstead, Jerome Baker, Tanner Connor, Keon Cross, and Clayton Fledgelum. Xavier Howard, Robert Hunt pops up on there with the hip, is limited. Kader Kohu, Greg Little, Raheem Mostert, Emmanuel Ogbah, Zach Sealer, Durham Smythe, Skylar Thompson, Jalen Waddle, Christian Wilkins. Liam Eichenberg is a full. Melvin Ingram, he didn't participate because he had a rest day. And then Tua Tagovailoa, full practice. And then obviously not on the report for the next day because Tua Tagovailoa is fine. Take a deep breath. I also want to let you guys know that if you get any type of like procedure or any type of treatment, whether it be like, a massage on your calf because it's got tight on you or something, they have to put it on the injury report. So see Tua Tagovailoa on there with a left hand, but then all of a sudden you see full participant Wednesday and then he's not on there. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it at all. But yeah, I hope all these limiteds play, especially Christian. I feel like Christian Wilkins and Durham Smythe and Zach Sealer and Emmanuel Ogbah. Emmanuel Ogbah, I'd really like to see him come back, especially against this Detroit Lions team, who their offense is pretty good. Again, we're going to talk about that in the next segment, which is right now with the breakdown. So like usual, I'm going to give you the rankings of the Fins offense versus the Lions defense, and then vice versa, the Lions offense versus the Fins defense. So when it comes to the Dolphins offense in points, they are ranked 19th in yards. They are ranked 10th. And then the Lions defense in points and yards, they are ranked 32nd. They have a bad defense, the worst in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins should feast on that. When it comes to passing, the Miami Dolphins are ranked 3rd in the NFL. The Detroit Lions defense is ranked 22nd. When it comes to rushing, the Miami Dolphins are ranked 29th, getting a little bit better. Raheem Mostert getting some yardage. The Detroit Lions ranked 31st. So again, the Lions have the worst defense in the NFL. If you haven't watched the Eagles game and all these other games they play where it's just high scoring games. And the Dolphins offense is probably around points for is 19, yards is 10, passing is 3, and then their rushing is 29. Kind of do an average of that all. I probably put it around 15, 16th ranked in the NFL. Dolphins offense should eat. We should get a good run game going and all that stuff. Third down conversions, the Dolphins dropped to 23rd. They were actually pretty high. They dropped to 23rd with 36.6% conversion. The Lions are giving up 47.9%. They are 31st ranked, bad. Red zone, Dolphins are ranked 5th. They score when they get in the red zone on 65% of the time. They just have to get to the red zone more often. And the Lions defense is ranked 29th, allowing 69.6% of red zone attempts to be scored on. So again, the Lions defense is bad. The Dolphins offense should feast on that. Flip it now. The Lions offense to the Fins defense. So the Lions offense points is ranked 9th. Dolphins defense 23rd. The Lions offense in yards 4th to the Dolphins 21st on defense. Passing, the Dolphins defense is ranked 24th. The Lions offense is 9th. So you see a big flip there. So kind of worries me there. But then when it comes to rushing, the Lions are ranked 7th, and especially because they have DeAndre Swift coming back, but the Dolphins rush defense is ranked 7th. That is one of the bright spots on our defense, is we stop the run very well. Third down conversions, the Detroit Lions are 24th. Kind of lower than I thought they'd be, only converting 36.5% of their third downs, and the Dolphins give up 41.6, which is ranked 22nd. But when the Lions get in the red zone, they rank 3rd, converting 71.4% of their red zone trips into touchdowns, and the Dolphins are ranked 28th, allowing 68.2. So it seems like another, Minnesota Vikings game where it was their defense wasn't too good, but their offense was pretty good. So let's jump into what I was talking about with the little cool thing. Wait, that's injury report. That's what I'm talking about. So essentially what I did is on PFF, I can put the offense of the Lions here and the defense of the Dolphins here, and then I'm going to flip it. So you kind of get, again, you could take PFF's ranking with a grain of salt or whatever. They are very subjective. Right, very subjective. They have people watching and essentially giving their opinions and their grades on their PFF stuff. They do go by stats, but also they go by some other things. So you could take PFF as it is, because sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't make any sense at all. But for this instance, we're just going to kind of look at it and go off of that. So we're looking at the Lions offense versus the Dolphins defense here. Now, you looked at the Dolphins defense, Phillips, Wilkins, and Andrew Van Ginkel, pretty high ranked when it comes to, PFF. And then you look at the offensive line outside of Penei Sewell, kind of low, right? Xavier Howard hasn't been doing great, 79th ranked, but then you have Reynolds, 71. You had Amani St. Brown, 78. He's the one I worry about the most, is St. Brown here. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. And then, again, we have Bethel, Noah Benogany, and Howard. As of now, I don't know if Kader Kohu or Keon Crossan is going to play this game, but right now, this is who we're running with. That does make me nervous. DeAndre Swift, 69.7 rank. But again, Jerome Baker's actually coming up. You have Javon Holland. Brandon Jones is gone, so they put Eric Rowe in there. So, again, I'm getting into my 5 things, but a lot of it comes down to focusing on St. Brown and stopping the run. Jared Goff does not do well against the Dolphins, but I will talk about that. And I'm going to flip it. So now you see it's flipped, right? You see the Dolphins are on offense. You got Waddle, 78.4. Tyreek Hill, 90.3. And then you have their corner. If this is the matchup, again, feasting. If this is the matchup, again, feasting. Even here, Sherfield should feast on Parker. Hutchinson, kind of low. Their defensive front's kind of low. Their linebackers are low. Their safeties are kind of low, except for Joseph. The Dolphins' offensive line actually is not bad. You have the 13th best left tackle. You have the 5th best center. You have the 7th best right guard. And you have the 10th best quarterback. So, again, it's like you take it how you want. Because if for people who don't think Tua is doing well and for people who don't like Tua, they probably look at this and say, PFF don't know what they're talking about if they have Tua as the 10th best quarterback in the NFL. That's a load of crap. Blah, blah, blah. This, and that. And the people who like Tua are like, well, he should be higher. It is what it is. But you got the 1st-ranked wide receiver, the 12th-ranked wide receiver, and the 10th-ranked quarterback, and a very decent offensive line outside of Liam Eichenberg. Shell's actually doing pretty decent, but Eichenberg seems like the liability. This offense should feast, especially with Raheem Mostert, who's actually pretty decent, 31st out of 61, kind of in the middle of the pack. This offense should feast on this defense, especially with these type. Even if it's not him, say it's Okudah is covering Hill. Look at that matchup difference. If it is Parker, look at the matchup difference. Their corners don't match up with our wide receivers. You take Xavier Howard and you put him on Monty St. Brown, then all of a sudden it's a little different. Whereas our offense should really feast. So I'm going to make myself bigger. So I hope you guys like that new little aspect I put in there. But let's jump into the 5 things that the Miami Dolphins need to do if they want to beat this Detroit Lions team in Detroit. Again, no specific order. It's just, again, you see me doing the research, all that stuff, and I start jotting down things that I noticed. But one thing that the Dolphins need to do is they need to run the ball. I just showed you that the Detroit Lions are 31st ranked in rush. We are actually getting better, 29th ranked. We were around the bottom. And we're actually performing. Raheem Mostert has a very good, yards per carry average. I think it's 4.5. He's very, very good at getting out there. I understand you need a 1-2 combination. You can't have him do everything because then he's going to get tired very easily. But we got to run the ball. We got to dictate the game with the run game. You got to keep, especially if our defense is going to struggle against their offense, because again, their offense puts up points. They put up yards. They're very good at passing. They're very good at running. And red zone, we want to keep them on the sideline. So running the ball is going to keep them on the sideline, is going to tire out this 32nd ranked defense and 31st ranked in rush. Going to tire them out. It's going to take the time. And, you see our defense, and I'm going to get to that. And number 2, just run the ball. Stick to the run, Mike McDaniel. I noticed that sometimes your play call is a little sketchy. In certain situations, you'll pass, then run on 3rd down when it should be flipped. And then you'll run, pass on 3rd down when you should have just it's just sometimes he outthinks himself. So you got to run the ball, right? Number 2 thing that the Miami Dolphins need to do if they want to beat the Detroit Lions, bend not break. So you're probably like, what the flip are you talking about? That's kind of what our defense is, right? Bend not break type defense. And that's what I was going to get to, especially with running the ball. There are going to be instances where this Dolphin defense is going to stop the Lions offense. I don't think it's going to be a back and forth, 58 to 50 whatever game. I think at some point, either their defense or our defense is going to make a stop. And the Dolphins are playing a bend not break defense, especially right now with having no corners besides Xavier Howard. They're playing a very soft zone, not getting beat over the top, trying to keep everything in front of you. That's what, Javon Holland is perfect at, just keeping everything in front of him, not getting beat deep. Dolphins, I think, were one of the best in the NFL, not getting beat deep. So they're playing that bend not break, and then you get in the red zone, and for the most part, they clamp them down and keep you out of the red zone, hold you to field goals. I think that's also where the percentage of success comes into, is kicking field goals. But continue it, because this is going to be a hard game for this offense, this defense, because the Lions offense is pretty good. Pretty good. Now, the number 3 thing that the Dolphins need to do if they want to beat this Detroit Lions team, got to brush off that rust. And you might be like, dog, back to the rust. And I got a lot of flack for saying that in the film breakdown on Tua Tagovailoa. But I said he looked a little rusty. And then people were like, well, he looked pretty good in the first half. He made some good throws, but he made some questionable throws in the first half. That first drive was really nice, but then after that, he kind of fell off a little bit. He was making some weird throws, overthrows, especially to Waddle. You could tell he was rusty. And I got a lot of flack for saying that. How are you going to call him rusty when he did well? And then all of a sudden, I'm not the only one who called him rusty. Ryan Clark called him rusty. Dan Orlowski called him rusty. All these other guys have said the man hasn't played football for about 3 weeks. He hasn't practiced for most of that time. He practiced all last week. Getting back in the game, you got to brush that rust off. Practicing and game time are 2 different things. I don't think people understand that, because sometimes they're like, well, he practiced all week. How is he rusty? Practicing and game time are 2 different things. For one, in practice, he ain't getting hit. So he got the jitters out. He played his first game. He does need to start sliding. You want to have a long career, you got to start sliding. But he's got to brush that rust off. You were rusty against the Patriots, or you were against the Patriots, and you came out and you played really good against the Ravens. Played really good against the Lions, because again, they are 22nd ranked in pass. And they gave up 32nd ranked in yards. Take advantage of that. Pick on some of these corners that aren't very good. Pick on the linebacker core that's just not very good. And brush that rust off. Get back to it. Number 4 thing that the Miami Dolphins have to do if they want to beat the Lions, obviously you got to stop the run. If we could stop the run and force Jared Goff to be one-dimensional, the Dolphins, Jared Goff is 3-0 against the Dolphins. Or is it 2-0? I know he hasn't won against the Dolphins. Dolphins have a very good way of getting in his head. He lost to them in 2016 when Ryan Tannehill threw that last-second touchdown to Devontae Parker. I think it was Devontae Parker. And we beat them in L.A. We got in his head. He didn't have a good game. Then we beat him when he was with the Lions again in 2020. So he has a hard time with the Dolphins. So stop the run, make it one-dimensional, and force Jared Goff to beat you. And send the house at that man. And the 5th and final thing that the Dolphins need to do if they want to win this game, force the turnovers. I'm keeping that. We forced 3 turnovers. 3. And we won that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Force the turnovers. Make Jared Goff throw interceptions. Make I almost said Taylor Swift. Andre, fumble the ball. Get after him. Force the turnovers. Win the turnover battle. Get after it. Those are my 5 things that the Dolphins need to do. Now to my prediction. This game, I'm hoping, is a coming out for this Dolphin offense again. I hope they get that, working together again, and Teron Armstead is getting healthier, and he's out there, and you could see him just pancaking people. I think the Dolphins are going to win this one, and I think it should be a decisive win. It really should. The Lions are just on defense; they're just not a good football team. On offense, they're pretty good, and I think that has a lot to do with because they're playing from behind, because their defense is giving up a lot of points. But the the Dolphins should win this game. They have an extremely dynamic offense, especially with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Raheem Mostert, and then like I said, Teron Armstead's back. You have Connor Williams and Hunt. Those are all top 10 at their position. Really should win this game. Force Jared Goff to throw the interceptions. Force him to be inconsistent. Get him off the field. Again, if you put the game in his hands, the Dolphins should easily win this game. But if all of a sudden DeAndre Swift starts running all over you and controlling the game, it's going to be a long game, and it's probably going to be a back and forth game. But I have the Dolphins winning this one 24-13. Obviously, you're not going to, this defense is banged up at corner. And I want to say this real quick. We got to give Josh Boyer a little credit, right? He held the Pittsburgh Steelers to 10 points. He forced the Minnesota Vikings to punt 10 times, the most by any defense in the NFL this year, with one corner. Like, this defense is banged up. And now they don't have Brandon Jones. So he is scheming and putting things together and doing things with so limited resources that we really need to give Josh Boyer a little bit more credit because of what he's been doing these past couple of weeks. So if he, again, can hold the Lions to 13, like I said, I can see the Dolphins' offense scoring on this defense, especially because they have such a hard time making the stops when they need to. But, yeah, that's what I got for you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to react to Tyreek Hill's 10-minute mic'd up on the Miami Dolphins YouTube channel. Going to be a fun one. It's going to be a real fun one. And then I'll see you guys Sunday, 1 o'clock. Dolphins in Detroit to take on the Lions. Hopefully, chain them together. It's 2 wins. Then we head to Chicago. Then we're home for Cleveland. And then we get the bye week. 3 more weeks, boys and girls. 3 more weeks. And then we get the bye week. And we get to rest. Real quick before I get out of here, Austin Jackson did practice. I think it was like a week or 2 ago. So his 21-day timetable is getting really small. So I wouldn't be surprised if they activated him. And then hopefully I'm hoping after the bye, everyone comes back. Byron comes back. Austin Jackson comes back. Tuesday we have the trade deadline. Hopefully we go out and get some pieces. And then all of a sudden after the bye, when that stretch gets tough, heading to San Fran, heading to LA, heading to Buffalo, that stretch, all of a sudden we are pretty healthy coming off a bye. So I'll see you guys tomorrow with the reaction video, and I'll see you guys Sunday at 1 o'clock. Well, than that, like usual, stay classy. Fins up.